Hello and welcome to Earth Calling. We're your hosts, Ed and Lazlo. Every week we bring you a fresh slice of online content, sorting through the likes, the memes, the insta-Queens, the swipes, the scrolls, and the Twitter trolls. Together, we're laying down our 21st century digital legacy. So sit back, relax, and buckle in. This is Earth Calling.
Hello Earth Callers, welcome back to another episode of Earth Calling. Lovely to be with you again on this fine day. Ed, how is your Saturday going? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. It's actually, I'll correct you, Friday. It's Easter Friday, but okay, no biggie. I'm doing really well. It is extremely sunny at the moment, so I've shut my curtains to get the filming quality up. I'm cocooned in my flat and having a great time. I'm a little bit hungover. Played a bit of poker last night. And
poker.
Yeah, had a few beers.
How did it go?
COVID compliant, of course.
Yes, mask on.
Strictly.
Good for the poker face, the mask being on, isn't it?
Absolutely, exactly. And yeah, I'm doing very well. How are you? How's Berlin? How is Berlin?
Yeah, Berlin is good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm also nursing a hangover. I just came off the back of a very large artichoke and mushroom pizza. Don't want to brag, although I'm feeling pretty lethargic. But excited to be with our community, our ever burgeoning community of podcast listeners.
Yes, we hit 2,000 listens quite recently, which is, if you think about it, about 1,000 hours of listening. Now, I don't know. They talk about 10,000 hours to master a skill. I don't know what you could. What is the collective use of humanity's time that we could have put to a different task? We could have got them to listen to Lord of the Rings probably 300 times. Is that right?
My main question is, what's the skill that they're going to pick up? After 10,000 hours of this podcast, I'm not quite sure what you've got to show for it.
Well, we bring levity to people's lives. We also have educational elements. Some people get in touch and say, I'm really glad that you talked me through X, Y, and Z, because I had no idea. And as we delve,
some people say I had no idea this app was founded in Silicon Valley. Thank you for enlightening me.
Yeah, as we delve even more into the niche corners of the internet, I think people do learn stuff. So we're very grateful, of course, for everybody tuning in. And what are we discussing today, Lazlo? What's on the chopping block?
Yes, well, the continuation of this education, let's say, of our listeners is Twitch, which is a platform for video streaming, known for particularly gamers and gamers kind of with their dabbing. You'll have to see the video for that one, but Ed and I just dabbed twitching to each other. Yeah, you were twitching. Got it. Yeah, so Twitch is this video streaming platform, very popular for gamers who have big communities of people who basically tune in to watch them play all sorts of games. Ed, maybe you could tell us, as usual, a bit about the founding story.
So Twitch, as you say, is a video live streaming platform, which essentially allows people to broadcast whatever they're doing live. And it's become extremely popular in the esports community, EA Sports. It's in the game, and allows people to broadcast themselves playing video games or cooking or chatting, doing whatever the hell they want. And in terms of how it was founded, it was, of course, founded in San Francisco, and it was founded by a guy called Justin Kan. And initially, he founded a website called justin.tv, which was a little bit solipsistic, perhaps.
Tiny bit self-indulgent.
Yeah, all right, Justin. And he basically wanted to create a Big Brother style site that would allow people to live stream their daily lives. And in fact, he pioneered this practice of life casting, which is the idea that you stream your life around the clock. And this became more and more popular as the price of webcams and broadband plummeted. He actually started Justin.tv way back in 2006. And if you think about what the internet was like back then, it was a pretty difficult proposition because the internet just wasn't good enough. However, over the years, what he realized was out of all of his categories that he had, the video gaming category was growing faster and faster than any of the others. And it got to a point where he had millions and millions of people tuning in, and he decided to spin out the video gaming section and create a new company called Twitch. And this grew and grew, and essentially got to the point where Amazon took a look at it and thought, wow, this is extremely impressive. There's a huge amount of people using it. And they actually bought it in 2014 for $970 million, which is, it's a lot of money, nearly $1 billion, you might say. And, and it's gone from strength to strength. It now has, tens of millions of active users. Something like the average person on it spends more than 20 hours a week watching videos, which is kind of insane. Really. 3 hours a day, day in, day out. And it accounts for 2% of peak internet traffic, which is just behind Netflix, Apple, and Google. So this is actually, I was surprised by some of these numbers, right? And I think that many people listening may never have heard of Twitch, but have realized now quite how big it is. But it's phenomenally successful and takes up an increasing amount of young people's time online. But Lazlo, you took a look. What did you find when you signed up and created an account?
Yeah, so I mean, the first thing I'll say is that I actually was a Twitch user before this episode.
Of course you were. You bloody Twitcher. By the way, as an aside, Lazlo actually has a Twitch, which is great. He sort of does it's almost like like a Pez dispenser. He'll kind of raise his head and kind of click his neck back.
You mean a physical Twitch? I thought you meant a Twitch account.
No, physical Twitch.
Yeah. Ed has referred to me as the Pez dispenser in the past. Never a nickname I was particularly happy with, but yes. But anyway, so I was a Twitch user even before the research for this episode, and I don't know if this is embarrassing or not. I guess I'll let you decide. But I have got quite deep into the world of online chess streaming.
Yes, of course.
Online chess, which you might not be surprised at if you've tuned in for our YouTube episode where Ed guesses my top recommended videos, one of which is a video about chess. I'm quite into chess. Ironic, seeing as I'm really not very good at all. But in any case, I am very, very familiar with the chess personalities on Twitch. So if you imagine you tune into a stream and you've got this chess grandmaster who's basically playing a game online, streaming it, sharing their screen, and there's 20,000 people watching, and he's just commenting on what he's doing. So to give you a concrete example, there's a grandmaster called Hikaru Nakamura, who is one of the lead...
Nakamura.
He's American.
Oh, Hikaru Nakamura.
Exactly, thank you. He's American, and he is one of the best speed chess players in the world. So it's very amusing.
What is speed chess? That sounds like that's almost an oxymoron. It's like referring to a fast snail.
No, I mean, so there's classical chess, which is basically untimed chess, where you can think about your moves as long as you want to. And blitz and rapid chess are formats where basically you've got a time limit. So you have to kind of slap the timer down. You've got 10 minutes running off your clock, and you alternate with the player to, It's
frantic.
Very frantic. So this guy is incredibly quick at processing different moves that you could do, and not going into any details, but just to let you know, as a chess layman myself, it is virtually impossible to follow anything he's saying, which begs the question, why on earth am I watching this stream? Because he's just literally sitting there being like, I mean, I could go knight e4, but he's always got king d3. So I'm thinking I can move my bishop to c5, but like the h file is open and the rook could just cruise on up there. So I'm actually going to just probably castle first, long castle, and let the queen do the talking. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like,
thank you, ma'am. QED, quad erat demonstrandum. But
I'm just thinking, why don't you just move your pawn? Just move your pawn forward.
On the first move, you can actually put your pawn forward 2 spaces. I like that. That's about as far as I got with chess.
Do the double hop.
But one question here is, so he's commenting live. Can it not be a bit of a competitive advantage for the person he's playing to tune into his Twitch and be like, okay, I know what he's doing? Or is that against the spirit of the game? He's sort of he's showing you behind the veil.
Well, the thing is that everything's happening so quickly in these blitz games that the opponent simply doesn't have time to process what Hikaru could potentially do and then react to it. So, I guess there is that element. And online chess tournaments now are being very strictly regulated. And I do know a disgusting amount about online chess regulations. But
And how does it talk me through this? Because I had a look at as well, which we'll talk about. But in terms of the community, how does it actually work on Twitch? Explain to us. So you've got a certain number of people viewing live, and presumably it tells you how many are watching. And then what's the interface?
So imagine you've got this box where Hikaru's got his chessboard. He's talking about the game. You know, you can see him in the corner. And then on the right, simply you've just got a chat. And the community is all in the chat. And that's where things get very chaotic, because you've got people in the chat being like, move your bishop, move your fucking bishop. And Hikaru, who is one of the best chess players in the world and obviously knows what to do, he's just like, guys, can you just like chill out, please? Like, I'm not going to
think I know what I'm doing.
Because he's got Queen B2. so he basically, it's a constant hilarious dialogue between Hikaru and the chat, where the chat thinks they know better, and Hikaru's just like, come on, guys, shut up.
Do you occasionally dive into the chat?
So I haven't yet participated in the chat. I think I'm very much a kind of backseat driver.
You're a watcher.
Case, or let's say a backseat passenger. I don't know.
You're not driving at all, mate. You're sitting in the back with your headphones in, thinking, are we there yet? Yeah. I spy with my little eyes, something beginning with H. Hikaru.
The funny thing that Hikaru was there. The funny thing is that Hikaru is engaging with this chat almost as if it's kind of one entity together. So he refers to them as chat. It's like his friend. He's like, chat, can you not please chat like I'm not in the mood? Or he'll be like, chat, that's pretty funny. Like, chat, that's pretty funny.
But so one thing that I think is quite interesting about just the revenue models and the way that this business works and the relationship between content creator and content consumer is that you can actually, I think, give loot or something, can't you? You can basically give money to the creators that you like, and you can also send money through to ensure that your chat has been highlighted. So you can do the same on YouTube Live, whereby you pay money to do a top chat, which means that Hikaru will be more likely to respond to it because it gets highlighted and dragged out of the mess of people shouting, you know, bishop e4 or whatever, which is quite interesting if you think about it, just in terms of how you monetize your content.
Exactly. So one of the amusing things about Twitch is that if you give a donation, if you pay Hikaru some money, which you can do at any point, like a $5 donation, you have the privilege to do what's known as TTS, text to speech. So you write your text, and the text appears on the guy's window so everyone can see it, and then the, you know, automated Google voice or whatever will read out the text. So often people just like put in quite funny messages. I remember one of them, for example, was have you ever heard a water sprinkler? It goes, and then they put the letters CH like 50 times, so it goes, have you ever heard a water sprinkler? It goes ch 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 ch. And Hikaru has to sit through this 30-second clip, and he's not amused. He's like, chat, come on, guys. Like, thanks for the donation, but like, shut up.
Shut the hell up. This isn't the King's Speech.
And another thing that's quite funny as well is that Hikaru obviously feels obliged, or I think just out of politeness, he has to acknowledge every single one of the donations that comes in. So half the stream, he's actually just saying, thank you, Unicorn, for the 5 gifted subs. Thank you, Edward, for the 6 gifted subs. Thank you, Thief. And, you know, it's just very, very funny. And also, you know, sometimes people have a funny username. So he has to say, thank you very much, Slut Dildos 43 for the donation. Yeah.
Have you ever given a donation?
No, I haven't. That was not my username.
I was going to say. Oh, brilliant! Yeah, it's a wild world out there in the chess community. But there's chess, I think, is a bit of a niche section even on Twitch. So not only is it a niche platform, but you yourself have bucked the trend. As always, Alternative Lazlo has not gone for the video games. You've actually found yourself a nice little chess community. How many people tune into these vids?
So you say that, but just to conclude this, you know, chat about the chess community, chess has undergone, thanks to Twitch, an enormous revival and, if not injection, of new energy and interest.
And the Queen's Gambit, of course.
Exactly. Thanks to the Queen's Gambit and thanks to the pandemic, where, you know, people have to do something indoors. They choose chess, and obviously this enormous viral sensation of a show came out. So now what you're getting is actually mainstream video gamers are now doing like an hour or 2 session a week on chess.
Wow.
So there's a huge streamer who does all sorts of games called XQC. He's one of the biggest streamers in the world. He's a Canadian guy, and he has recently partnered with Hikaru to give a stream on chess. And it's actually really cool because chess is a totally different game to the ones that they usually play. It's much more obviously intellectual. It requires much more mental processing.
Well, hang on, mate. I mean,
ETA.
have you played League of Legends? I mean, it's not that it's just pretty intellectually demanding. Come on.
It is. Is it chopping down that wood?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which leads us nicely onto what I looked into on Twitch was, of course, slightly more in the mainstream, the mainstream, which was video gaming. And I was just really keen to get a sense of what these games are, how many people are watching them, and what the whole deal is. And I decided to tune in to day 7 of the One Esports Dota 2 Singapore Major Playoffs, which was one of the top streamed events when I was doing my preparation. And
right, let's go back to the start. What is Dota?
Okay, so Dota, I think, stands for Defense of the Ancients. And it is this strange, massive multiplayer online role-play game.
You mean Morpg?
Yes, exactly. A Morpg, which essentially means that you got a load of people around the world who control a bunch of orcs and fairies and knights. I'm sure anybody who's ever played this game is literally sitting there cringing, thinking that no, that's not what it's called. I'm probably getting all of the terms wrong.
You're
and I
totally misrepresenting Dota players.
Okay, sorry. They're probably like, dude, you got it completely wrong. Are you kidding me? So sorry, Dota 2 fans, and there are a lot of you, as I now know. But yes, it seems to be this fantasy world where people go around completing tasks and fighting other people and leveling up their characters, which is obviously a big part of it. It's a bit like World of Warcraft, which I think was one of the original massive multiplayer online role-play games. Anyway, So I dialed into this playoff, which is this big tournament, and it was being commentated. And I was just completely bemused because I guess I shouldn't have been bemused. It's exactly what you'd expect. But it was as if I was listening to a football match commentary. And I'm just going to actually play a little clip of what I was listening to so that you can all get a sense of what this is like.
I am disproportionately excited for this.
Get ready. Yeah, one day, one desire. No, I was trying to do a sort of trailer for it. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Dota playoffs. Here live from Singapore. Well, live from around the world. But anyway, here's the recording.
Just not what you want to be up against if you're Virtus Pro. 10 minutes in, he is rolling. And this is just a poor situation for Virtus Pro to be in. How do they alleviate this situation? They have to go after the troll, right?
They have to go after the troll.
They do, yes. Like, this troll is farming a little bit too fast, out of control here. Like, looks like he will at this time. Maybe even faster. He already has the second last component, just needs a voice stone. He's might be able to just snowball out of control here again.
Just needs to get his voice stone and control that troll. So, I mean, completely extraordinary. And as I said, like, it reminds you of a football match, but it's just about trolls and wizards. And the wizard up the left flank of the field, and it's a goal. Completely bizarre.
I mean, but there's a lot at stake, isn't there, in these tournaments? The prize money is crazy.
No, it's insane. So, yeah, and I'm very glad that you raised that, because I then thought, well, fine, how big is this really? Like, what are the stakes at play? And firstly, I got a bit of a sense of the scale because there were 86,000 people watching this live a day ago when I was looking into it. And secondly, I then looked up some of these tournaments, and they play in huge arenas. So if you imagine like a football stadium, they will have a football stadium full of people and a big central grandstand where they have all these screens and all these guys and girls playing. And I wanted to work out what the kind of prize money is. And it turns out that Dota 2, this game that I was referring to, actually has the largest prize cash for first place in the world. You have other games like Fortnite, which is extremely popular among young people. Many listeners have probably heard of it. But Dota 2, guess what the prize money is for Dota 2 if you're the best Dota 2 player in the world?
But presumably it's split between the team, right? The team gets the money?
Yeah, but I don't know how many Dota players are on a team.
Okay, sure.
But okay, for context, right? So if you win the US Open, right? So a Grand Slam tennis tournament, you win the final, you get $3.7 million.
Okay, so I'm going to guess for Dota. I mean, I'm actually scared to hear the actual figure, but I'm going to say you get roughly the same, 3 million.
Yeah, so you actually get 34 million.
Oh my giddy aunt.
Yeah,
That is
your aunt is giddy. Bob's
my
your uncle.
I'm giddy, the aunt's giddy. Oh wow. 34 million.
Yeah, and if you think about, we're in the wrong bloody game, aren't we? I mean, this
I
is
was
just.
about to say, should I register the Twitch account, or do you want to? Who's gonna set up?
But it's insane, isn't it? So yeah, they have these huge stadiums or huge stadia, and they play for millions of dollars. And the craziest thing of all, really, in some ways, is the age of these people. Because if you think about it, they're actually at their peak when they're in their late teens. And so you have these 16-year-olds who are winning $30 million, and there's this huge industry around it. It's growing ever more popular, and kids are spending more and more time online. So all of the tailwinds are there. But the interesting thing as well is that, unlike a traditional athletics sport, or football, rugby, running, you probably peak in your mid to late 20s. With this stuff, because it's all to do with the speed of your reactions. By the way, that's why it's called Twitch, because of Twitch gaming, and it's all to do with the speed of your reactions. Yeah, you see this sad phenomenon where some of these big time gamers are already burnt out by the time they hit 22.
You're retired.
They have to go into the commentating.
I have heard about that, and I saw this short BBC expose on this huge gamer from Denmark, I think, like a 24-year-old guy who's considered like way beyond his prime.
Yeah,
and
it's just crazy.
They were filming him because they were showing the fruits of his prize money, which is this enormous mansion he's built for himself and his team in I think it's maybe Call of Duty that he plays, or it's a kind of shooting game. What do they call it?
FPS, first person shooter.
Yeah, first person shooter. And firstly, this house is ridiculous. What he can buy off the back of his career, but also forming his new team. You're seeing these kind of like spotty 16-year-olds sitting around tables in the practice room, and they are the heroes, I guess, of the
they are.
sports
So
community.
if you fast forward 20 years or 10 years even, the poster pinups in everyone's rooms won't be Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi and whatever. It'll be kind of some 16-year-old spotty teenager who's extremely dexterous and has got bloody quick trigger finger.
Yeah, and it's funny because they're all referred to by their gaming names, of course.
Yeah.
So it's never like Andrew Fields. It's always like Sharpshooter 906.
Yeah. But I am just fascinated by it because it is the future, and I just wonder whether there's any way that we can get in on it. Maybe we should, in our kind of ever burgeoning quest for abilities to interact with more content platforms, perhaps we should do a Twitch, a live stream, a bit like our Clubhouse, which was, of course, a rip-roaring success. Maybe we should do a live stream on Twitch where we just chat, because there is a category called just chatting, which could be quite fun. Maybe we should do that, and you can sort of review YouTube videos or just chew the fat, really, and see who turns up.
I would be up for that, and I would also be up for potentially adopting some kind of game. But of course, the main question in my mind is, what is your experience with games? Yes. And this leads very nicely on to
Lazlo's Listicles.
Something exactly. Thank you, Lazlo's Listicles. I don't actually know exactly what installment it is of Lazlo's Listicles, but yes, for this week, Ed, I wanted to put your knowledge of video games to the test. Would you like to hear the format of my listicles?
Sure. I mean, I'm not a gamer myself, although I'd say I'm relatively au fait with some games. But yeah, I had a PS2, I had a PS3, I had a Game Boy. Actually, I had one of the first Game Boys, black and white. It was like a
Pokemon.
brick. I played a lot of Pokemon. Yeah, I completed Pokemon Ruby with the help of my brother, who had Pokemon Sapphire.
Okay, it's kind of two-player game, is it?
No, well, yeah, you get different Pokemon in different games. You've got to trade them. It was wonderful. Tracking down that final Pokemon, bloody hell! I think it was called Latios or Latias. I mean, it took the amount of time I pumped into that game. And then you catch all the Pokemon and you go to the boss, Professor Oak or whatever he's called, Professor Elm, and you go, look, mate, I've caught all the Pokemon. And I thought that my game was going to sort of explode, or I was going to get some cash, or that I don't know what I thought was going to happen. A whole world would open up. And he just goes, congratulations, Ed. And I thought, Professor, I mean, this just does not cut the mustard.
Professor, I'm not quite sure you know the journey I've been on to get to this point. Okay, well, that's good. So you've got actually quite a good foundation then. I'll explain the way that this is going to work, this listicle. Again, I've got to preface this by saying that ultimately I've been very flexible with the listicle theme. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to name there's 3 rounds. I'm going to name 2 different video games. One of them is a real video game. The next one is totally made up by me.
Nice. Okay, got it.
And I want you to tell me which is the real one and which is the fake one.
Got it. Let's go.
Okay. So, maximum score is 3. And we'll start with question 1. So question 1 is, these are the 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
Valorant or Jungle Fever.
Ooh, okay. Neither of those ring any bells. Jungle Fever sounds rather like one of the cocktails that you might have had back in your Caribbean days, or a deadly disease that you would contract from a piranha in the Amazon. Yes, Valorant. That sounds. Is that something to do with ants? Ant-Man? Okay, I'm going to guess that the real one out of those 2 is Valorant.
That is correct.
Good.
That is correct.
By the way,
Very
are
good,
these famous games, or have you just like really?
No, these
wow.
are very famous. This is one of the top streamed games on Twitch. In fact, it's a free-to-play hero shooter developed and published by Riot Games.
Amazing.
It's basically all about guns.
Oh.
Okay, very good. 1 out of 1. Maybe that's too easy. Here we go. Game 2. Big Tuna Hunt or Accelerate?
Accelerate. I can imagine that being a sort of a rather more precarious version of Mario Kart, where if you go around the corner too fast, the egg breaks and it's game over.
Or maybe in like dads
go.
on dads on their kids' sports days doing the old egg run,
The old egg and spoon.
The egg and spoon, yeah.
Yeah. So, what was the first one? Big Tuna Hunt.
Big Tuna Hunt.
I'm pretty sure that I've heard of Big Tuna Hunt, so I'm going to say that Big Tuna Hunt is the correct one.
I'd be very, very curious to hear where you heard about Big Tuna Hunt, because it is absolutely fictional. That is incredible.
Oh, maybe
I think it's more you deeply desired that game.
Maybe I've heard of like Big Deer Hunt or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
okay,
exactly,
fine. Damn it. Okay, so talk me through what Accelerate actually is then.
So Accelerate is a silly yet challenging time trial racing game where you try over and over again to improve your time without dropping an egg. So basically, you're driving with an egg on your vehicle, and have to not drop it. Yeah,
so basically what I said. Yeah,
exactly.
Nice.
Okay, but I'm afraid you went for the tuna in the end. So it's 1 from 2.
I do like tuna. I'm quite into tuna nigiri.
Lovely,
delicious. Are you're pescatarian? No, you're pesky.
Yeah, love the tuna.
Yeah,
love
the tuna, of course, has different grades. With the fattiest being the most prized for its flavor. I'm actually a fan of the lower grade. I don't know why the fuck I'm talking about this.
That's a real treat for our listeners.
Yeah.
Just to repeat, me. Ed is a fan of the low grade tuna meat cuts. So if you take anything away from this episode, it is that. Right. So 1 from 2, and the final round, the 2 games are World of Goo versus Freud's Dungeon.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's a good one. World of Goo versus Freud's Dungeon. So, World of Goo makes me think of Flubber. Do you remember Flubber? What a great film. That sort of green goo. That was brilliant. Yeah. Maybe it's something to do with that. And Freud's Dungeon. I mean, that makes me think all sorts of terrible things. He was a pretty weird dude, wasn't he, Freud? Yeah. Didn't he give all of his patients drugs and then told them that they wanted to sleep with their mothers? Is that?
I think he said a lot of things to his patients involving mothers.
Yeah, he probably
and fathers.
He probably did have a dungeon. Okay, so tricky. I honestly have no idea, but I'm going to go with Freud's Dungeon because it's a bit weird. Like I'd be surprised if you'd come up with that. I'd be concerned maybe even.
Well, I have hoodwinked you. Yeah, I made that up.
You made that up.
It's World of Goo.
I don't know what that says about you, but okay. So what's World of Goo then?
Yeah, it's I've been down to the dungeon. I'm a survivor of the dungeon. Yeah, World of Goo is it's a game where the player has to use small balls of goo to create bridges and similar structures over chasms and obstacles to help other goo balls reach a goal point. God, that sounds a bit convoluted.
What the hell is that?
With the challenge to use as few goo balls as possible to build this structure. So
this is a big game on Twitch.
It's not exactly an elevator pitch, is it?
No, exactly.
You're talking to the CEO of the games company. It's like, hey, Martin, I've only got a minute of your time, but basically, okay, listen up. So, World of Goo, you're a player. You got to use small balls of goo to create bridges and similar structures over chasms and obstacles to help other goo balls reach a goal point, with a challenge to use as few goo balls as possible to build this structure. Are you in?
When can you start? Monday? No, that's really uncompelling. I just basically in my head have a gooey bridge. Maybe that is what it is.
Yeah.
I suppose if you think about it, Candy Crush is pretty uncompelling. Angry Birds, pretty uncompelling. Were you an Angry Birds fan?
True. I did go through an Angry Birds phase.
Yeah.
Ironically, it ended up being more Angry Lazlo than Angry Birds. Just found it quite a frustrating game. Well, I think we've looked at a good range of Twitch-related content in this world of live video streaming. I think in particular for the aliens, for whom we're basically making this show, the aliens who stumble upon a hard drive and get to see all of this interesting 21st century content, they're going to be really thinking, what the bloody hell happened to TV? They've landed on this planet. They think, what happened to TV? Well, luckily, we've got this episode to show them how there's been this incredible transition from traditional boxes, which had live kind of channels, to this world where you can tune in anytime, anywhere, to any content,
anything.
Big Tuna Hunt, Goobles.
But I think again, yeah, exactly, and they'll probably be fascinated by, if they are to delve into this episode and if they are to look at the wider reaction to the initial proliferation of gaming as a sport, esports, I think they'll be surprised at how kind of negative and poo-pooing people have been of it, because ultimately it boils down to people want to watch other people be really good at stuff that they find entertaining. And back in the day, it was your gladiators chopping each other's heads off, Maximus Decimus in the ring. It was your what else was there? Spartans probably frolicking, oiled up wrestling. I don't know. And then
oiled Spartans. Yep.
Yeah. And then you get to a point where somebody is lobbing about a sheep's bladder and then someone picks it up and runs with it. And then you get rugby. That's not how it was founded at all. But I think there's some kind of bladder somewhere to do with football. And then, it got to a point where people moved their lives online and people were able to talk to people all over the world, and they started watching it and paying for it. And it's kind of the same. And, I know that a lot of people think it's super sad that everyone's just inside watching esports. And it is sad in some ways. Like, get outside, kids. The sun's out. But I find it pretty kind of self-explanatory as to why it's become such a big thing and why it will continue to be a thing.
Absolutely. And I think the Goobles in particular will really just remind the aliens of home. They'll see the Goobles like, whoa, they've got Goobles on Earth.
Yeah, Fred, is that you? Yeah. Excellent. Well, I think that is all we've got time for. As ever, folks, please do give us a download on Spotify and a like, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Do slide on over to our Instagram, where you can find us at earth_calling_pod for bonus content. And if you want to get in touch about anything, any feedback, we are all ears. Well, we are not. Yeah, we're listening.
Yeah.
We're not ears.
Yeah. Yes, and as always, please do tune in next week when we will be heading on to the trendiest topic in modern tech, which is, of course, the world of blockchain and cryptocurrency, which I will now introduce in the following terms, not knowing much about it myself. Plug in your Bitcoin, charge up those cryptos, and join us when we will find out more specific details about this world with Ed's help next week. But for now, Earth out.